What makes a bird a bird? Of course, the ability to fly, you might answer. But I'm ready to challenge that notion. In this video, you'll learn why a bird weighing over 20 kilograms can't fly, why penguins have such small wings, and why swans hiss. And at the end of the video, I'll show you perhaps not the biggest, but definitely the most unusual bird. It looks like, enjoy watching, huge flightless bird. If you try to find the biggest bird in the world on the internet, you'll notice that there isn't a straightforward answer to this question. At least, not unless you change the wording. You'll get completely different answers for the queries biggest bird ever, biggest bird alive today, biggest flying bird, or biggest flightless bird. It's truly a fascinating topic. Well, I'll start my story with the biggest living flightless bird. Have you guessed which bird I'm talking about? Of course, it's the ostrich. More precisely, the common ostrich. Yes, even here we need some clarifications. The appearance of an ostrich needs no introduction. I'm sure you've seen this unusual creature in pictures, movies, or even in real life. I'll just add that this amusing bird can reach a height of up to 8 feet and weigh around 300 pounds. If you can't imagine these dimensions, here's a comparison. Such a size is akin to a small car. Incredible, right? By the way, an ostrich can also run almost like a car, reaching speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. And those strong legs armed with a hard claw serve not only for fast running, but also for protection against predators. That's how it looks. Impressive. Ready to hear a few more interesting facts about ostriches? They lay the largest eggs in the world, eat not only plants but also meat, and they never bury their heads in the sand. The legend that a frightened ostrich buries its head in the sand likely comes from the fact that an ostrich hen sitting on a nest, in case of danger, spreads her neck and head on the ground, trying to become inconspicuous against the surrounding savanna. If you approach such a hidden bird, it will instantly jump up and run away. Who's this? And this is an Epiornis. Another huge bird that looks like an ostrich, but actually isn't. Despite the similar strange body structure, fluffy, non-functional wings reaching up to 13 feet in height and weighing up to half a ton. However, DNA analysis of this giant creature's remains showed that the closest relative to Epiornis is the Australian kiwi bird. Well, there's something to that. Evolution is truly an amazing process. Epiornis lived in Madagascar. These birds thrived there up until the 10th century AD. An abundance of food and no predators. What could have killed such a giant? The answer is simple. Humans. Initially, humans were interested in the bird's eggs. They reached 3 feet in diameter with a volume of 2 gallons. Imagine a carton of a dozen of these eggs if they were sold in our supermarkets. Though why would you need so many? Just one egg would be enough to feed an entire family. Hence, ancient people eagerly plundered Epiornis nests, and it seems they ate all the offspring. Other giants. Almost all giant birds that ever lived on our planet look very similar to ostriches. So I probably won't tell you in detail about Dromornis, a relative of the Australian goose, Pakistruthio, a bird that survived hyenas and tigers but couldn't cope with humans, or Brontornis, a horse eater. I also won't delve into other types of modern ostriches, the Somali, emu, and northern and southern cassowaries. That would be too boring. However, let's discuss penguins and their ancestors. In the photo, you can see the emperor penguin, the largest living penguin. There are many reasons why this bird can be considered special, but let's go step by step. Our guest's living conditions are far from comfortable. Antarctica is a dark, icy, desolate place. Human feet rarely tread there, which is unsurprising. For most living creatures, hurricane-force winds and temperatures down to minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit are a real challenge. But penguins quickly adapted to the icy wastelands. How do they manage to survive in such harsh conditions? The answer is simple: fat. The fat layer of these polar birds is up to 4 inches thick. So if you have a similar layer, you might try heading to Antarctica. Just don't get confused. Antarctica is in the south, and the Arctic is in the north. But don't rush. Penguins have something else, a special gland that secretes oil, which penguins use to coat their feathers, providing reliable insulation from the wind. So, bring a fur coat, preferably one like this. As for their size, the penguin is one of the largest flightless birds on our planet, 50 inches tall and weighing from 45 to 100 pounds. What about their ancestors? The ancestors of our penguins were in many ways very similar to the modern representatives of this family, only they were significantly larger in weight and height. 7 feet in length, from the tip of the beak to the tips of the toes, or flippers, and 250 pounds. Can you imagine such a giant? Well, that's practically a car, only very light, because ancient penguins were slim and didn't have such thick fur. Palaeodiptes klakowski lived on Earth in the late Paleogene period, 37 million years ago, and predictably it lived in Antarctica. However, Antarctica looked different back then. First of all, it had no ice at all, only water. The Paleogene was a hot time. The Earth's climate was particularly warm, the ocean level was high, and the ocean itself was teeming with a huge variety of living organisms, which these remarkable birds found delicious. Moreover, this period is characterized by the extinction of huge marine reptiles, so penguins had even more reasons to dive underwater. By the way, they achieved a special mastery in diving and swimming. To this day, royal penguins and any other species of penguins can swim so swiftly that even predators, sea leopards, and killer whales can't catch them in the water. But on land, our guest loses its confidence, walking slowly, fearfully, hesitantly. When will it fly? You might say, are these really birds? Some can only run, others can only swim. Where are the true flying feathered giants? The largest flying bird alive today is the Andean condor. Its wingspan is over 10 feet, and it weighs no more than 25 pounds. It's said that a flying bird cannot weigh more than 45 pounds, but the magnificent Argentavis would beg to differ. But more on that later. Let's get back to the Andean condor. Look at it, a true giant. It might not seem that way in this photo, but what about this one? Poor hyena. It seems it's about to become someone's breakfast. And yes, this bird really does eat meat, though it mainly scavenges. However, if food is scarce, it can attack live prey. There have even been reports of attacks on humans. Jules Verne vividly described a condor carrying off a boy in The Children of Captain Grant. While an Andean condor can't actually lift a human, it doesn't mean they're completely harmless. Their 2-inch talons are quite capable of handling even deer. But don't worry, especially if you don't live in South America. These mighty Andean condors are only found there. They prefer to nest on rocky ledges where they can ensure the safety of themselves and their offspring, which they care for up to 2 years. Such a paradox. Fierce predators that are also genuinely caring parents. The true flying giant. Now, let's talk about the Argentavis magnificens. The wingspan of this baby reached 26 feet, the body was 7 feet long, and it weighed 200 pounds. And yes, this behemoth could fly, but it did so in a particular way. It would climb to a height, get a good running start, and leap off a cliff. Then, it would glide with the warm air currents. How long could such gusts sustain it? Argentavis could stay in flight without a single wing flap for up to 2 hours. But what's the point of that? After all the food is down there on the ground. This creature mainly fed on carrion, wolves, saber-toothed tigers, or even smaller creatures. And since Argentavis couldn't fly, in the usual sense of the word, how did it take off after such a feast? Don't worry, scientists believe that Argentavis mastered the art of catching food on the fly. This unusual bird shatters the modern aerodynamic theory that a flying bird cannot weigh more than 45 pounds. And although Argentavis was the largest bird in history, it wasn't the largest flying creature. Can you believe that? Who else? I won't tell you about those incredibly large flying creatures. The topic of our video is birds. So let's talk about them. They may not be as enormous, but they are no less interesting. The next elegant creature has a long neck and dazzling feathers. Its movements are graceful, gliding over water as if barely touching the surface. On land, its steps are slow and dignified, like a royal personage. Its majestic gait and calm demeanor inspire admiration and respect. Well, enough descriptions. I think you've guessed that I'm talking about the swan. To be precise, I want to tell you about the mute swan, the largest representative of this species and one of the largest types of birds. Its body length is about 7 feet, and it weighs between 10 to 45 pounds. The wingspan of this majestic bird is 8 feet. When a mute swan flies, the sound of its wing beats can be heard a mile away. Its noisy flight seems heavy because the bird flies slowly. Listen for yourself, that hissing, whistling sound. But the mute swan got its name for another reason. By nature, this bird is very patient. The presence of other birds or even humans doesn't bother it at all. But only up to a point. If the swan senses a threat, it immediately shows another side of its character. This is mostly expressed through loud hissing. The closer the danger, the louder the hissing. Even a cobra seems like a rattle compared to this, a really creepy pigeon. And of course, this list of the largest birds wouldn't be complete without the stork. These beautiful creatures live almost all over our planet. The white stork is found in temperate and southern regions of Europe, northwestern Africa, and Asia. The American stork is in America. Other species of storks are in other parts of the world. All these birds are quite tall and have an impressive wingspan. They are associated with many wonderful legends. Just consider the belief that if a stork settles on your roof, you will surely have happiness, prosperity, and many children. But I want to tell you about the most unusual member of this family, the disgusting marabou stork. There's a black sheep in every family, as they say. Just judge for yourself. First, this bird looks truly creepy. A bald head, a huge pouch under a long, thick beak, and a height reaching 7 feet. Look how small this boy looks next to such a giant. Second, the marabou is a scavenger. It eats absolutely everything. Sees a flamingo chick, eats it. Sees a buffalo carcass, guts it. Even human garbage isn't off limits for this insatiable bird. Incidentally, it's for this trait that it's been given the honorary title of sanitation worker of the savannah. So, this creepy bird does have its benefits, though for some reason it's not very popular in Africa. It's even shot at. What do you think? Is this bird useful? Is this really a bird? Ostriches, penguins, storks, eagles, swans. This is a pretty predictable list. I might add a couple more pelicans, albatrosses, shoebills, and bustards. But that's for another time. Now I want to show you not the largest bird, but definitely one of the most unusual. And it's unusual at least because it looks like a real log. Do you see the bird in this picture? It's there! Right there! Great camouflage skills. This bird is called the tawny frogmouth. It lives in Australia, mostly on old trees because they are easier to camouflage against. It's a fairly large bird, reaching 1.5 feet in length and weighing up to 5 pounds. With such dimensions, it definitely can't hide in a hollow. So camouflage skills really save this funny creature from predators. As for its name, it's called the frogmouth not because it eats frogs, though it does, but because it has an unusually large, funny mouth. Because of this, it looks a bit like a frog. What do you think? By the way, this very mouth allows the tawny frogmouth to make incredible sounds, from low grunts to soft, gentle coos. Sometimes it's even said to purr, scream, or cry. Listen. So when asked, what makes a bird, you will now answer quite differently. Some birds are excellent swimmers, others cannot fly. And some flying giants are not birds at all. How about another question? Do you want to make more money? We're looking for screenwriters, editors, voiceover artists, and creative producers to join our team. If one of these professions suits you, be sure to go to our Telegram bot and leave an application. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching.